Tsunami Studios. Batman and Catwoman issue number 1, the newest book from Tom King with art by Clayman. Now this book has been on a lot of people's radar, I think, for a long time, mainly because people are saying, was this going to be the bookend to the Tom King era of Batman and his main story from the Rebirth era? Now, I think there was some elements in this book that were definitely going to be a part of the Rebirth stuff. That being said, I think there's a lot in here that wasn't. So, this book I think is very complicated in a lot of weird ways. For starters, it does a lot of interesting stuff trying to present a fascinating and compelling story. Now, does it live up to what it wants to be? I don't know. I think for the most part, it does okay. This isn't my favorite book from Tom King. This isn't my favorite issue 1 from Tom King. If I had to actually say anything, out of every issue 1 for every book of his I've read, I think it's probably my least favorite. Because it's kind of confusing in the way it tries to set itself up. Now, we'll go through every page here and just give you a little brief synopsis of what's going on, and I'll talk about it. But I knew going into this that it was going to be 3 different time periods. I know he said that. We're going to see a life with Selina before she is with Bruce, like as a couple. We're going to see the kind of present day with Batman and Catwoman working together. And then we're going to see a future where Bruce is dead. So we knew that going in, that those were going to be some of the elements we saw. And it did okay at presenting those. So we start off this book. I think this chapter is called Silent Night. So we open up the book and we see that an older Selina is driving down I guess just a bridge somewhere. She's got a cat with her. There's cats in like every frickin' panel of this book, which I'm not complaining about. But it also jumps around through a lot of different time periods on each page. So on the same page, we see a younger Bruce Wayne talking to Andrea. Now, Andrea, I know, is a character that some people have some reverence for. I don't really have an attachment to her. Mask of the Phantasm was a movie I saw. I really haven't thought about it since I've seen it, and I have no intention to make it a bigger deal than it is. That character exists in a lot of people's hearts as somebody they like. To me, it's just another character. I have no attachment to Andrea Beaumont whatsoever. So we see it's Christmas time, of course, because this book comes out in December. And Andrea's talking to Bruce, and she's just trying to ask for help in a way. She keeps asking about Alfred, but in this timeline, Alfred is still dead. And we cut to some other times in this book too, man. This book is really sexy. Like, I'll just straight up say it. There's so much romance and flair and just sexual energy being tossed around, which, let's face it, Batman kind of needs that because him and Catwoman have the sexiest relationship in all of DC. I don't think it's the strongest romantically, but those two, if those two just can't keep their hands off each other, and I am in support of that. So we cut back to an older Selina. She's walking up to a house where she meets this old man. He's like, "Oh my goodness, it's Selina, how are you?" And she's like, "Hello," and all that stuff. Then we cut to what's supposed to be the present day. The Cat and the Bat both got some new style of suits. There's a little more extra lines and everything, giving them different colors of gray. And basically what it is, we found out that Andrea is looking for her son since he was kind of ran away from home. And we don't really know what's going on with him, but she's been hiding her son from the world because of a thing that happened with her and the Joker. Now, she didn't die, the Joker didn't die, of course that happened. So Batman here, and Andrea is kind of teased like, well, maybe something happened with the Joker and my son, so I'd like to go find him. And as the Cat and the Bat are just swinging around, it gets sexy. They kiss and they're just hooking up, and we cut to the past, which is weird because of the different costumes on the characters, and that's kind of how I think we're indicating the different timeline. But it's just weird. So we see the Cat and the Bat hooking up and they're in the past, and it's like, okay, that's fun, I guess. It's sexy. I like it, like just all that leather just touching each other. I mean, that's pretty sexy if you ask me. Like, it's cool. Then we cut back to an old Selina again, and she's talking to this man like, "Oh, those are all your kids there, that's nice, and I hope everything's going good with you." And the guy's got a son named Nathan, a daughter named Bethany, and then the guy asks about how it's like Helena, and Helena's dating this nice woman. They just had dinner, Selina and her did, and they're just talking. And they're just having a nice conversation like two old friends, and it's like, through everything we've been through and all of that stuff, I think we did all right. And, you know, even the cat's starting to look a little worn down like an old cat. And even the guy kind of chuckles like, "Yeah, I suppose we did all right. It is good to see you after all these years, and it's pretty fun." So cut back to the present. I'm going to say it's the present, the past, and the future. That's how I'm going to refer to them. You can jump around. If this is in continuity or out of continuity, I don't think it matters. But in the present, where the story is supposed to be, Selina and Bruce find the man called Sewer King, and he's got these crocodiles that he's going to use to attack them. And I want to say, while we continue this, because in this shot, I think what really stood out to me was the way the crocodile looked. But man, Clayman is such a talented artist. Like, his line work, everything he does, man, it's absolutely stunning. Very beautiful, very vibrant too. Like, very agile, and again, very sexy. Like, this is the way Selina moves off Bruce, the way they look together. It's very static. It reminds me, just in the way they're kind of like bouncing off each other and playing off each other. It's very like classic swashbuckler, like Errol Flynn stuff with them. Just that kind of feeling of like a classic story with them all fighting each other. So they're trying to get information on the kid that went missing, Andrew Beaumont. We cut to the past again, where Selina's trying to steal the necklace off some guy, and sitting there next to her is the Joker, and Joker's just like, oh, that's fun. I thought I'd find you here. How are things going? I want that jewelry, so what's going on? We have to figure out what we're gonna do there, Selina. And they steal the jewelry, and and in this area, you can kind of understand that the Cat and the Bat are hooking up, and Joker's just like, well, you're kind of going a little hard to the bat right now, so I'm trying to put you back in the right direction. And they're just kind of playing off each other in a weird way. I'm not too sure if, like, Joker and Selina have this kind of history, but I'm okay with it. I don't think it's that terrible. And it is what it is. I don't know. It's not a big deal, I think. This is fine. And we cut back to the present, where Selina ties up a guy, and it's like, why don't you tell me where Andrew is before something happens and I do something bad? And it's going to get weird. And the idea comes into play that this guy that they've captured says that he can get Andrew back to his father, but his father is dead. Cut back to the past. There's a lot of cutting back and forth here. It's not that it's hard to keep track of, it's just kind of exhausting. And this is a nice shot too. This is classic. This is like classic Miami Vice, just sexy girls sitting down looking all cute in leather. And you got your guy with the sleeves rolled up in the white suit. Like, it's just classic. Joker and Selina are just having a conversation, like, you're getting pretty close to the man. I want to tell you, that's not what you should be doing, all of that, la da la da la. Cut to old lady Selina, and this is where the clues start to come into place as to who is this mysterious man she's seeing. But she tells this old man what happened to Bruce, and that he got sick and everything started to fall apart. The whole family was there watching him, but he is dead. And the man kind of breaks down into tears. Then we cut back to the modern day, of course. And we see that Andrew is killed by something the Joker did, and it's kind of sad. He's looking for his father and his mother, and it's just like, he's dead. He's dead, and it sucks. And then we cut to another sexy scene with Bruce in bed and Selina's crawling up. It's like, hi, I broke all your security alarms. Look at this little sexy cat with me. Meow. I think that's supposed to be the past, because everybody looks a little clean and happy. Again, sexy shots of Selina coming through the window, man. Very sexy. And the old people, they're having their moments, you know, like the guy's kind of breaking down, like, that's weird. It's like it's the end of something we've had for all this years, like a certain age, and suddenly everything falls apart. Selina's crying, and the two of them just hug it out. And now it's like, oh man, everything you did for Selina and all that stuff, it sucks. And then the guy's like, now I can finally kill you. He takes off his wig, and it's the Joker as an old man, and it's like, yay. Yay. It's an okay reveal. Like, yeah, I kind of saw it coming after we saw the connection that we're playing up in the past with Selina and Joker, but it works for the most part, I think. And then we just see Andrea's gonna get the Phantasm mask, so that's fun. Yeah, it's fun. It ends again. It ends how it opened with the Silent Night song, and it's fine. It is a completely fine book. Now, here's a few things I do want to say about it. I wish it leaned more into like the sexual romantic nature of the characters instead of jumping around to all these different timelines. I get you're trying to show like the lifespan of the Cat and the Bat as a relationship, like the sexy early years to the hardcore intense relationship years to the grieving years as the old woman. I want to focus on the sexy years. Just give me some of that sexy year time, some fun sexual adventures. That's what I want to see. It seems like it's going to be going into an interesting way. I don't like the way it's kind of jumping around so much. I do think it would be cooler if there was a little more or less, if it wasn't like crossed over a bunch where each page has different panels with different timelines. If it was all kind of a little more organized, I think it'd be a lot more interesting and a little cooler. I have no complaints about Clayman's art. I think it is gorgeous and stunning. His characters are amazing. His Selina and Andrea are very attractive, very well presented. His Batman is lean and tough, and I absolutely love it. Tom King's writing, it's Tom King. Is it as good as Mr. Miracle, or Sheriff of Babylon, or Strange Adventures, or even his first issue of his Batman? I don't think so. But it seems like it could go in a really interesting direction that I'm actually looking forward to seeing. And overall, it's not a bad read. Like, it jumps around a lot, which I think is kind of distracting, and the story isn't completely there yet. But as a first issue, it's as good as I'd want it to be. So, Batman Catwoman issue number 1, I am going to give a 7 out of 10. Now, thank you guys so much for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And as always, you can check me out on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, all that good stuff. And I'll catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.